Welcome to Dem Boyz, a podcast that's really getting after the quarterback. We're one Saints fan and one Cowboys fan, one fan of who dat and one fan of dat win. We're here to give weekly takes, game recaps, bad betting picks, game previews, and a few Seinfeld references.
This week, in honor of Colorado's Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy, our patron Saint/Cowboy is a Colorado alum, linebacker Bill Rowe, who only played 2 seasons in the NFL. Rowe was drafted in the 3rd round by the Cowboys in 1980 and then released in 1982 after a short stint on the injured reserve. From there, Rowe played for 3 teams in the USFL: the Boston Breakers, the Memphis Showboats, and the Birmingham Stallions. In 1987, amidst the NFL players' strike, Rowe was signed as a replacement player for the New Orleans Saints. The team at that point was labeled the Saint Elsewheres by the media. Rowe started 3 games, was released once the strike ended, and unfortunately, Rowe passed away September 13th, 2003. So rest in peace,
Rest
Bill
in
Rowe.
peace.
I'm Paul, the Saints fan.
I'm Brandon, the Cowboys fan.
And we're your hosts. Izzy, tell them what time it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you live that.
Mr. Vanderbaum, please.
It's go time. This one's for you, Pop. It's go time.
It's go time.
You've been married 3 times.
That's it! It's go time!
It's go time.
All right, so a few housekeeping items. If you'd like to contact the show, you can do so by email. We're at blessdemboyz@gmail.com, BLESSDEMBOYZ@gmail. We're still on Twitter, haven't been taken down yet, still haven't been followed by LeBron. He's back from his hiatus, so I assume that means he'll be back on social media, but we're still waiting on getting that follow. We're at Bless Dem Boyz, BLESS_DEM_BOYZ. You can also follow us. I'm Brandon. I'm at Ball from Grace. Paul is at Paul Elliott _316. That's PAULELLIOTT _316. Show is available on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, leave a rating and review. We appreciate any feedback. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell random strangers on the subway when you're on your way to the lesbian wedding. So we'll get to the football in just a second. But before we do that, here on Dem Boyz, we're also pride on ourselves on the ability to discuss other things.
But enough about fish. I can discuss other things, you know.
So, Paul, what did you get up to this week?
Yeah, so I watched a little bit of. I was actually watching some of this before we hit record. The NBA Emeritus Cup. Watched the Bucks and Hawks on Saturday afternoon. So pretty good. I haven't watched a lot of basketball thus far this season. I've been more focused on the football, but that was a good game. Tried to stay up and watch the Rockets and Thunder, but I couldn't make it. But
drifted off a little bit.
Drifted off a little bit, yeah. But I did watch, and I wanted to ask you this. You know, with the holidays upon us, are there any like holiday movies that you make a point that every year you have to? Okay, I got to watch. You know, these movies.
We try to do the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Okay.
It's a Wonderful Life is one.
Okay.
And then my wife and my mom really like to watch what was ranked the number 1 Christmas movie on the Rotten Tomatoes list, Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a Christmas movie.
Yeah, have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it, but that's is that Judy Garland?
It is Judy Garland. It's actually where the song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" came from.
Oh,
it's also the best version of that song. Judy Garland's version is like I rank that number 1A in best versions of that song. What about you?
So the reason I bring this up is I just watched. I did an annual viewing of "It's a Wonderful Life,"
Great movie.
which yeah, fantastic movie. Which I had not seen in its entirety until probably 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it just never was a movie that we watched growing up. I knew obviously I knew about the movie. I knew
Hmm.
I knew the main plot points and whatnot, but um, yeah. So
Did you know
check
that?
that off this.
Did you know that Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street were named after the two characters in that movie?
So I heard that, but then I've also heard that that was an urban myth, an urban legend that
See, I thought that was true. I never did the research though. I
I
never.
definitely caught on to the Bert and Ernie, like because Ernie's the cab driver, I think,
Mm,
and Bert's the cab driver, Ernie's the cop, I
yeah.
think, or
Yes.
one of those
One or the
configurations,
other. Yeah.
one or the other. Yeah, no, it's a great movie. Highly recommended. It's on Prime, I think, Prime Video. That's how I watched it.
I think we still
I
have a DVD copy of it.
well,
Old
there you
school.
go. Yeah, old school. You we can't all be watching the classics. Um, but I also watched. Have you heard of a movie called Spy Hard?
I assume this is something like some sort of parody of Die Hard.
It well, no, well, it is a parody. It stars the legendary Leslie Nielsen, the late great
Ah.
Leslie Nielsen. It kind of fit in. So I was on a Bond kick there for a while. Spy
Hmm.
Hard is basically a spoof of the Bond movies. Leslie Nielsen plays a character named Agent WD-40.
Uh huh.
Um, and there's what's her name from Desperate Housewives? Nicole Sheridan. Nicolette
Uh huh.
Sheridan. She's like the the Bond girl.
Uh huh.
She's a yeah. So it's a very funny movie. Andy Griffith plays the villain, which is weird,
Oh,
but
that's
yeah.
interesting.
So if you're familiar with Andy Griffith from Andy Griffith Show or from Matlock, that's yeah, it's weird, but it's pretty fun. It starts off really good, like it's
Uh huh.
really, but then it kind
It's
of
not.
peters
It's
off
not.
towards the
It's
end.
not. It's not. Not airplane. Not quite up to
No,
airline
no,
airplane
no, no,
standards.
no. I wouldn't even put it. It's not even in the Naked Gun category.
Oh,
Naked
okay.
Gun. I mean, the Naked Gun movies are classics, but yeah, Airplane. Yeah, Airplane's probably my favorite of those parody movies. If I
Sure,
had to,
surely you must be joking.
yes, I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Surely, surely.
God bless him, man. Oof.
Classic.
Yeah, he was classic. All right, Brandon, what'd you get into?
It's been a pretty busy weekend for me. So Friday night, I think I mentioned this on the show last week. I went to see my high school played um, in New Caney.
Yep,
They won their game, so they will be playing in Jerry World this Friday for the state
very
championship.
very cool.
Um, and then Saturday we had my office's company party downtown, so we did that. And then
This is the
Sunday night,
one. This is the one for adults.
yes, the adult
Okay,
party.
the adult part.
Um,
Okay,
yeah, so we did that, and then Sunday night we took the girls to see Frozen at the Hobby Center. Um,
okay.
so it's like a musical. So it's Frozen, but there's more songs. So they enjoyed it.
Yay.
They, yeah, we didn't get it. There weren't enough songs in the original one for apparently. But they did have a good time, so that was good. So we've been pretty busy. Last night I got pizza with a friend from my last job, so it's been something every night this week. Um,
Oh, I do have another. I have a quick story if I can tell. All right, were you done
hmm.
with your
Yeah,
rundown
that's
there?
it for me.
Okay, so I have a quick DoorDash story if I may.
Another. This wasn't another cupcake situation, was it?
No, 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 no. Well, I guess kind of similar. So Thursday, uh, kids get off to school. My wife gets off to work, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like some donuts. I'm gonna order some Shipleys for those who may not be from the Texas area. Shipley's is a very popular donut establishment around these parts. So I put an order in. I asked a couple chocolate iced and some donut holes. Nothing too bad. So I put in my order and I get to working, and I'm doing what I got to do, and then I get the notice that says, "Hey, your order's at the front door." I was like, "All right, cool." So I go to the front door, and in front of me are 4 boxes, 4 dozen donuts.
Did you hit
And
the wrong button?
well, hang on. So I look at I look at the receipt, and the name on the receipt is not my name. I'm like, okay. So
this was
obviously,
you got Cartwright's order. You're not Cartwright.
yeah, I was not Cartwright. So I go on the app, and I make it, and I tell them like, hey, I got the wrong order. Which, for those who've never had this issue with DoorDash, DoorDash is pretty good about this. So basically, they give you the option like they give you credit, or they can do a reorder. So I chose a reorder because I'm not gonna but you can't return the food. Like it's not like somebody's gonna
you're
come.
not gonna eat 4 boxes of donuts.
Well, and nobody, and the dasher's not going to come back to your house and pick it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I reorder it, but I didn't think, okay, if they didn't pick up my order, then the order I placed previously is still there at the store.
Uh-huh.
But now they're going to make a new order. So about 30 minutes later, I get my order, but I get it twice. Basically, I get two. So I was like, and then I'm thinking what the hell am I going to do with these 4 dozen donuts? So I finally, I had to go. My son, I don't think I mentioned this on the show before, but my son is nonverbal autistic, and he's in special needs with KDIs with our school district, and they do a program every year with the police department in our school district where an officer will adopt a child and get presents for them. So I had to go pick up my son's gifts basically that same day. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bring the donuts. And, so I was kind of embarrassed. So I hand the lady you have to bring your little piece of paper that shows that, whatever. And I said, ma'am, this is going to sound crazy, but I've got 4 dozen donuts in my car, and I'm not, and I explained what happened. And I said, I promise you they haven't been tampered with. They're not and so she's like, oh, no, bring them in. So
they didn't give you a hard time for feeding into the cop donut.
Right. Yeah. That was the other thing. I was like, look, I promise this is not I'm
not a stereotype.
Yeah.
Hey, cops, you want some donuts?
If I like your profession, how can that be?
Professionist.
That could be a stereotype. So shout out to, and then shout out to whoever didn't get their 4 dozen donuts for, I'm guessing for an office party or something. I also got to go. Funny, I have a quick office party. So obviously I work remote. So that same day, I get a text from a former coworker that says, "Hey, are you busy this afternoon?" And I'm like, "Not especially. Why? What's going on?" She's like, "Well, we having the office party, but we're all going to Little Woodrow's after, which is not far from my house. So can you stop by?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" So I go to, so I got to go visit with some.
Went to the old office party.
No, well, it wasn't technically the party; it was the
after party.
Yeah. So I got to see some old coworkers, which was nice. So
close enough.
But anyway, we want to move on here to let's talk about some college football here. So I mean, there really wasn't a lot of games to watch. Looks like we watched the same one here. The Army Navy game. Always a cool game to watch. You were mentioning via text. This is a bucket list item for you, right? To try to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just always seemed like a cool thing. And then I looked up tickets. Like I was like, well, let's see how much, because some of the kind of like games like this will get, but it wasn't
Right.
really that bad. It was under $200 to get in the door, which like for something like this, I was, kind of pleasantly
Do
surprised.
do they always play in the same stadium? As far as
No, so I was looking at it, and so they're doing. I think this year they're in Maryland, or no, this year they're in like uh, I want to say DC area. Next year it's actually going to be in Baltimore.
okay, at the Raven
And then
Stadium.
yeah, at Bank, and then
Okay.
the year after that it's going to be in Philadelphia. I
Okay.
will not be making that trip. Prefer to.
That sounds well because I knew they played. I thought they played in Philadelphia. I'm like, well, surely he's not gonna
No,
he's not gonna
I'll
go.
go to the ones where they're out where they are not in Philadelphia.
Well, because the Naval Academy is in Annapolis, I know that,
Mhm.
and then
They're in the
West,
Annapolis.
yeah, and then West Point is in New York. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, so I knew I thought they tried to stay. It would be kind of cool if they like every year tried to pick like
I
if
feel
they
like they
like,
do, they
but
kind of
I'll say
move it
like.
around.
But like one year they said if they played it in like Jerry World or if they played it in the in
It's got to
the
be
or
it's
the
got to
Colt
be in the
Stadium,
elements though. It's got to be in the elements though. I feel like
Oh,
Army
that's yeah,
game has
that's
got to
true.
be it
That's
kind
true.
of needs to be a cold weather game.
Can you imagine if they played it in Miami? Like
There, yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
go play it in Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good game. I really expected more out of Army, like just from the way that they played. But I guess this is kind of like a typical rivalry game where you just kind of throw
Yeah.
the records out. Navy had a game plan, and they were moving. Army like had no chance of stopping them. It looked like
No. It was an impressive performance
the
from Army
midshipmen.
or from Navy from the midshipmen, and then I was relatively impressed with both quarterbacks because
Hmm.
you know usually these games both quarterbacks kind of stick to running; they don't really throw as much. But I thought they both acquitted
They
themselves
actually
pretty
have
well.
some passers this time, and I
Yeah,
think Horvath is supposed to be back next year too.
yeah, and then Daly, the quarterback for Army, I think I mentioned this to you either off mic or maybe on the show last week. The somebody Saints Twitter said we need to draft the Army quarterback and Scatabo from Arizona State, and that'll be our Taysom Hill
Yeah, you just
hy-
fuse them together.
hybrid. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll I like that idea.
there you
Um,
go.
all right, so far we are recording this on a Tuesday. I am actually have on the TV here Memphis versus West Virginia in the Scooters Frisco Bowl or whatever this is called.
Scooter's Coffee Frisco Bowl.
Yeah, actually, there's a Scooters Coffee not far from the house here.
Oh,
Um, but so there were two bowl games over the weekend. There was a Celebration Bowl and what was the other one? I forget what the other one was. The
yeah. I don't remember the
uh,
name of the bowl. I know I got the Jackson State pick right.
right, yeah. So that's what I was getting to. So I was 2-0. We
Hmm.
both had Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, and then in the Salute to Veterans Bowl, that's what it was. Uh, we had I had Western Michigan plus the 10.5, I think it was.
Hmm.
So I got that, and you had You were riding South Alabama.
I was.
We both went with Memphis here. Memphis laying 1.5, and they're up 10-0 right now in the
Yeah, and I will say, like,
Celebration.
I think I bet that game at like 4.5, and it's now up to 6. Last I saw it, so like that thing
the
got steamed up pretty
the,
big.
the Memphis one.
Yeah, the Memphis one
Yeah. Well, I guess Rich Rod getting hired at West Virginia
didn't quite work out.
didn't
Not
quite.
yet.
Well, not yet. Yeah, hopefully next year. All right. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do some predictions for the college football playoff. Now we're only going to predict the 4 games that are coming up this weekend, the 4 first round games. So that's we'll start with Friday night. We've got Indiana visiting Notre Dame. Not a long trip for the Hoosiers. Uh, Indiana or Notre Dame is laying 7.5. The winner of this game will play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Uh, I believe that game will be New Year's Day. I think I think that's a New Year's Day game. I'd have to double check that, but looks like you're going Indiana plus the 7.5, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna do the same. I actually, if we were doing an upset pick, this probably would be my. This might be the one for me.
Yeah, I think so. Like this is like it's not as much of a home game. Notre Dame's good, but I don't. I feel like
Yeah.
they've. I kind of like Indiana's coaching, and I don't know if.
Hey, well, Google them, right?
Yep.
You've heard that, right? With the Indiana coach, Google me. Did you
Oh,
hear that?
Signetti? No, I did not hear
Yeah.
that.
When his opening press conference at Indiana, he said, "Everywhere I go, I win. Just Google me," or something like that.
Yeah, I know he's like had really good success from like with his like quarterback too. So like they've got a good coach, and so this was the. I'll take the points here.
Yeah. Just to on the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl will be the last game played on New Year's Day
Okay.
for those keeping score at home. Then Saturday, first game on Saturday, SMU, the last team in, as it were, will visit Penn State. Penn State's laying 9. Winner of this game will get to play Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. That'll be New Year's Eve. The Fiesta Bowl.
It'll be a
You're
party.
going SMU. Yep, you're going to go SMU plus 9. I think I'm going to lay the points here with Penn State.
Yeah, I don't feel super confident either way here.
I was really impressed with. We talked a little about this last week. I was really impressed with Aller. Looks like he's coming back next year
Yeah,
at
I
Penn
saw that.
State. Uh, I, I have a feeling, man, he maybe can put on a show here. At least these first 2 games. If they get past SMU and Boise, then they would end up playing potentially Georgia or Indiana or Notre Dame. But I mean, if he does well in this playoff, that'll give him some good momentum going into next year.
You know what? I'm going to flip to Penn State just because, like, based on the fact that what we saw against Oregon,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they didn't just like roll over there.
And SMU's coming off. I mean, I know they played better down the stretch in that ACC championship, but yeah, I would. Now, if this were Alabama playing Penn State, this might be a different story, perhaps. I
Right,
don't know.
right.
All right, moving on here. This is the middle game on Saturday. Clemson and Texas. Obviously, my colleague has a rooting interest in this one.
I do.
Texas is laying the 10.5. You're taking Clemson plus 10.5. Out of respect for you, I will also take Clemson plus 10.5.
Yeah, this is going to be one that I would love to get wrong.
The winner of this game will play in the Peach Bowl against Arizona State. Because when I think Peach Bowl, I think Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona, known for their peaches,
Yeah.
unlike most of the other schools
Right.
represented here. Like, there's no schools that have peach states, right, Paul?
Right. Right. Yeah. Well.
I feel like, and I will say, like, I feel like Texas at least like they lost, but I kind of like their draw that they got
Oh no. I texted you this when the bracket was
when they
released. I said
when they,
Texas got a very favorable draw
yeah.
because
You don't have to play
Clemson,
Georgia until the final.
right? Clemson, Arizona State, and then you may end up lucking out and you don't have to play Georgia at all. Like
No, that would be
if they
nice.
if they slip up because it doesn't look like Carson Beck's playing.
Oh yeah, I don't see how
Which
we could at this point.
that might not be a bad thing for Georgia anyway. The way
Right.
he's been playing, but all right. And then the final uh, first round game here, Tennessee going to the horseshoe here of Ohio State. Ohio State laying 7.5. Winner of this game gets Oregon in the Rose Bowl. You are laying the 7.5 with Ohio State. I am going to take the 7.5 with the Volunteers. I'm going to volunteer myself take the 7.5 here.
Yeah, I don't have a strong feeling either way on this one either.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just because Ohio State isn't playing Michigan.
Well,
They,
I mean, the last time we saw Ohio State, that was what was happening, right? So,
Mhm.
and look, Tennessee. I think of. I don't know. I like all
they've had
these.
moments, but they've also had
Yeah,
underwhelmed in spots too, and so
yeah.
I'll just
I'm interested. It should be a good game. That game is going to be 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and then the Rose Bowl will be its usual mid afternoon New Year's Day slot.
mhm.
So so the New Year's Day will be the Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, and then the Sugar Bowl, as it should be. Uh, but with that in mind, starting to feel a little drafty in here, Brandon.
I feel a draft.
I feel a draft. Let's change tables.
Get out of here. We have a booth.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick draft here. So, in the spirit of the college football playoff, we're basically going to draft all 12 teams. So, I'll end up with 6 teams. Brandon will end up with 6 teams, and we'll see who's right. I guess, or
Who comes
who
up with the
gets
champion?
who comes up with the champion, who comes up with the most Final Four teams, all that good stuff. So, um, who gets the pick here?
I don't know. I think you went first last time on our last draft. Is that correct?
So yeah, that sounds right. So I will defer to you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be an unabashed homer here. I'm gonna take Texas.
I'm surprised. I actually thought you wouldn't do it. I thought you would leave it for me, because then if they lose, you can blame me.
Then I can blame you. No, I'm gonna go.
All right.
I'm gonna pick with my heart, not my head here. All
Sounds
right.
good.
You've got 2 picks.
I got 2 picks. I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna go with the only undefeated team here, Oregon. Interestingly, I was reading something right before we turned the mics on. It looks like Dylan Gabriel might be getting some buzz from NFL scouts. Um, and this might be part of the Bo Nix effect. So, like, Nix obviously playing relatively well with the Broncos. I
Uh-huh.
think NFL scouts might start incent. What's the word? Prioritizing, like, looking at quarterbacks who have like a number of starts in college,
Like
like
more
these,
experience, basically.
right? More
More
experience,
finished products, right?
more finished products. Yeah. So,
You don't think
it,
Anthony Richardson's success might
ooh,
might have something
or
to do with that?
or Will Levis?
Yeah, true.
Because what Levis only had 1 year starting at Kentucky, or was he 2?
It was something like that. It wasn't a lot. He
Yeah,
didn't have a lot of starts under his belt.
that's a shame.
That's a shame.
But Gabriel, the thing about Gabriel, he seems like like another Tua. Like he's kind of demeanor uh, he's a little shorter. I don't think he has the arm strength Tua does though.
Right.
Or so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Something to keep an eye on as we approach for our teams. The draft will be very significant this year. Okay, I get another pick. Who am I going to go with here? I think I'm going to go. I guess I'll go with the Georgia Bulldogs. I am a fan of Bulldogs. I actually want to own a Bulldog at some point.
My high school is the Bulldogs.
Okay.
Like about 70% of high schools in the nation.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
All right.
Funny enough, we talked about the University of Louisiana. So when I was growing up, they were called the University of Southwestern Louisiana, and their mascot was actually a bulldog for some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah. So,
That's what you think of when you think of Louisiana is bulldogs.
yeah. Well, Well, I mean, Louisiana Tech, I think, is the Bulldogs.
Oh, La
If
Tech
I'm not,
as their.
if I'm not mistaken.
All right, you've taken them. I think the next one off the board, I think, has to be. I'm going to take the Ohio State.
All right.
And then after that, it's a little bit more.
Yeah, it gets tricky. Huh?
Yeah, because you've got the two teams with the bye, but I don't really love either of them. I think I kind of like. I think I'm just going to stick in the Big Ten here and just take Penn State. So
Yeah,
all three Big Ten schools are now off the board.
no, Indiana's
No,
still.
that's right. That's right. They're Indiana's still there.
The Hoosiers are still there, and I don't think I'm going to take them off the board here just yet. So let's see. I guess being the good raised Catholic that I was, I'll go ahead and take Notre Dame,
I'm going to take
even
the
though
French Church.
even though I picked against them. I picked. I didn't pick Indiana to win outright, but
That's true. If they win and don't cover, then you're good.
Right. By the way, West Virginia just scored, and I think I got another cousin out there. Oh, never mind. I thought it was an Elliott, but it wasn't an Elliott.
17-6.
Okay, so I got Notre Dame. I think I'll go Tennessee.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've got two SEC schools now on my side there.
So everyone on that one quarter of the bracket is gone. Tennessee, Ohio State, and Oregon have all been taken off the board.
Correct.
All right. I think I'll go the last Big Ten school here. I'll take Indiana.
All right.
And then after that, I will take, I guess, the team with a bye. I think Boise's only loss this season is to Oregon, which I think is, and it was a close game too. So I think we probably left him on the board here a little long, but I'll take Boise State.
Future Cowboy legend Ashton Genty.
If we don't draft Luther Burden.
That's true. That's right. I forgot. I keep forgetting you're a burden of proof.
Yep.
You're on the burden of proof.
Remember, the lamb took the burden.
But every mock draft I see, almost everyone I see, it's Cowboys Genty, like without.
See, that's funny because the Brugler one had Burden.
Oh, did it? Okay, well.
Yeah, you must.
I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong ones, I guess. All right, so let's see. Did you take two?
Yeah, so I've got. I took Indiana and Boise State there.
Okay.
So you've got your last two here, and then I'll come back around to finish it off.
Okay, so who am I going to leave for you here? You know what? I'm going to help you out. I'm going to take Clemson.
Okay.
And Arizona State. So look, if Texas can't get past my jinx of picking both teams that are on their side of the bracket, I can't help you.
All right. And I'm going to end up with all three of these teams now in this quarter. So I've got, because I'm going to take, I got SMU left. Yeah. So I've got SMU, Boise State, and Penn State there.
So you're guaranteed a Final Four team.
Correct. That's not too bad. There's a feather in my cap.
There's a feather in your cap. By the way, just to talk about this, we didn't really talk about the Belichick news, I guess last week, him going to North Carolina. I texted you because I read something that said Texas may be ready to move to Arch Manning next year. And I said, if you're Quinn Ewers, if you don't think you're going to get drafted too high in the draft, would you maybe consider get in the portal, go to North Carolina?
I mean, the NIL money that's being thrown around with his name sounds pretty good.
Well, but more, I think of it more. And now look, it depends on who the offensive coordinator is going to be. I heard the name Josh. Right. I heard the name Josh McDaniels thrown out today,
Uh
which
huh.
seems far fetched, but maybe I don't know. I mean, it's Belichick.
Hire his
He can
buddies.
he can pretty much get whoever. But yeah, I just think it's gonna be an interesting off season. I think in the college. I just saw Alabama's wide receiver Ryan Williams,
Mm-hmm.
that like 17-year-old kid.
Uh huh.
He's he's entering the transfer portal. Uh, I saw that right before we turned
Yeah,
the mics on here.
they've got to move the. I feel like they need to move the transfer portal date back. Like just
I
protect
agree.
protect the bowl
Yeah,
games. The bowl games are
I
sacred.
agree. Well, yeah. I mean, at that it's either that or you expand the playoff field so more teams get in. So you like I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the one thing I will say for sure is they need a commissioner. They need somebody who can kind of take control of all those things. But
Right.
anyway, all right. We
So,
want to move on to our
well,
weekly.
let's give a quick recap.
Oh yeah.
We're
That's
doing
fine.
so. I went first. I took Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, Boise State, and SMU.
So it's a very Big Ten lineup you got there.
I do have a very Big Ten lineup.
And then on my end, I have the Big Ten champion Oregon, SEC champ Georgia, the no conference champ Notre Dame, and then Tennessee, and then I have the ACC champ Clemson and the Big 12 champion Arizona State with hopefully future Saint Cam Scotabo. Turn a Sun Devil into a Saint.
The scat back, as I call him.
The scat back. All right. Now do you want to move on to our
Yeah, we can
weekly
get into
recaps?
our recaps of our picks. Paul, it was a
Uh,
close one this week, but I think
yeah.
I edged you out just barely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was 6-10 for the week against the spread, 107 and 117 for the year. That's not
That's
gonna be
not
good
going to
for
be good for
business.
business.
But straight up, I was 9-7. I'm still doing pretty good straight up, 129 and 95 for the year. 2 weeks in a row, my upset pick didn't hit, so parlay failed on my account. Your
Uh,
lock, your lock
barely,
hit.
barely.
Well, yeah, yeah. We'll talk
Um,
about that.
so I think you're getting upset about these upset picks.
Well, I mean, yeah, because now my record on my locks is better than my upsets. I'm nine and
Well, that's
four.
as it should be.
Right. Well, look, I kept it simple this week. I took Ravens over Giants, so I'm not looking for a pat in the back there. But yeah, so 9-4 on my locks, 8-5 on my upset picks. Have 5 teams correct records predicted up to this point. I can pull it up real quick here. The Rams, the Panthers, the Texans, the Packers, and the Giants. hey, I actually could be right on the Giants. I had them 2-15 for the
Hey,
year. There you go. There's a feather in my cap.
this will be their ultimate test because
I mean,
they will be facing the vaunted Atlanta Falcons.
well, yeah, we'll talk about that here in a minute when we get to that. Your upset pick didn't hit either. You had Dolphins over
Over Texans. So yeah,
Texans.
I went 7-9 this week. So one game I got back a little bit of little bit of ground this week. So I'm now up on you 3 games. I'm 110 and 114 for the year.
Yep.
12-1 on locks. With the commies holding on over the Saints. 6-7 so far on upsets though. So
Yep.
the upsets haven't been good, but we can get into this week's games.
Real quick. Sorry. On the pigskin win totals,
Oh yes,
I'm 12-11. You're 13-10. I think we figured it out. It's going to come down to the Ravens and the Saints. I think are like the
that we
two
differed
ones
on.
that we kind of differed on. I took Ravens over. You took Ravens under. I took Saints under. You took Saints over. So we'll see. If the Saints lose one more game, their under will hit because
But you also need the Ravens to win out.
I need the Ravens to win out. Yeah, for that one because
Mhm.
there was 11.5 was their number, I believe.
Yep.
So all right, yeah, let's get into the recap here. Week 15. Nobody on a bye. No more buys.
We said
Start
bye
off
to the
there.
buys.
Said bye to the buys. We started off Thursday. Again, all these matchups are brought to you by Coaching Immaculate Grid Matches. So we'll start off with Mike Martz presents the ugliest game of the week. Rams 12, 49ers 9. Yeah, I did not stay up for this one.
I caught a little bit of it, and it looked borderline unwatchable. It was in the rain. Nobody seemed to be able to do much of anything, and then the
Yeah,
Brock Purdy could not throw the ball competently. So,
no. This was like a Big Ten game. It's
yeah.
like a Iowa, it's like a Iowa Nebraska special. The good news for the Rams, they are now this result combined with the Seattle loss, we'll talk about later. Uh, they're in the driver's seat now for the NFC West, which is good for me because I got them at like 4-1, I think. When
Oh,
I
there you go. There's a feather
when
in
I
your cap.
when I picked them to win the NFC West, so I'll take it. Not much
Yeah,
else to
this
say on
this also
on
put
that
the
one.
nail in the coffin really for the 49ers. I think their
Yeah,
playoff chances are now.
they're not mathematically eliminated, but they're in the lose one more and you're done
Uh-huh.
category
Well, and
at this
it's
point.
probably even dicier than that. It's probably there's probably some other teams that can if they win, they will knock them out too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think if the Rams win one more, I have it later. We'll talk about it when we get to the preview for Week 16.
All right. So we'll move on to some a little bit less ugly games here. Sunday early slate. Norv Turner presents
Well,
Cowboys.
less ugly for you.
Oh, I thought it looked great. Cowboys 30, Panthers 14. The Cowboys defense ever since Parsons has been back has improved. They're still down a lot of players, especially on the in the secondary, but they're able to stop the run a little better, and then they were able to force a lot of bad plays from uh, Bryce Young, who had looked better in recent weeks. I mean, he played pretty well against the Eagles, all things considered, and the Cowboys forced like 4 turnovers. They sacked him 6 times. Um, and then the Oso Digizua was blowing up the Panthers offensive line. Micah Parsons was uh, kind of in the backfield all day. Like the Panthers in the first half had one good drive, which ended with a Bryce Young fumble on a scramble, and then they had one
Oh yeah,
play where the um, the Cowboys busted a coverage, and the Panthers were able to find a guy, Coker, downfield for a touchdown, which put him back into the game. But other than that, they really were pretty ineffective all day. So
yeah. I didn't see much of this one because I was watching the game we'll talk about next. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought the Panthers might. I mean, they were. I texted you jokingly. They couldn't handle the pressure of being favored for the first time in 2 years or whatever it
yeah,
was.
so apparently they were 1.5 point favorites, and then it got bet all the way up to like -2.5, -3. So like
Yep.
people were on the Panthers. They were
Yep.
so.
And Brandon, I don't want to alarm you, but Cowboys still have a chance
We're
to make the
still alive.
playoffs.
You're telling me there's a
I'm
chance.
telling you, there's a chance. If you, I did this, I did this math. They have to win out,
Hmm.
and then Washington has to lose to either. They have to lose. Washington has to lose another game,
Okay.
basically.
And then
They
to
have
set up kind of like play it, winning your
right.
in
So
in the
if
last game.
Washington loses this week to Philly, which is possible, obviously,
Hmm.
and then Dallas wins out. So you guys have Tampa, and then
Tampa, Philly, Washington, I think is the last
right.
three.
So if you beat Tampa, you beat Philly, and Washington has lost to Philly, then I think that last week is a do or die uh, for those teams. Assuming there's other scenarios out there, but we can talk more about that later. One team who doesn't have to worry about the playoffs, the New Orleans Saints. I mean, technically they are still alive. They're not alive. So this loss. We should have mentioned, by the way, Cowboys Panthers was brought to you by North Turner.
Oh yeah, I think I mentioned that.
Did you? I'm sorry.
I think so.
I apologize.
No worries.
Which I think his son Scott. Did I see? I think his son is up for the OC job at North Carolina. We were talking about with Belichick a minute ago.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I thought I saw his name.
So,
I can look it up
so
later.
we could have Steve Belichick and Scott Turner coaching North Carolina after Bill Belichick leaves.
There you go. But this game is brought to you by Jim Haslett, Saints coaching legend here. Commanders 20, Saints 19. So the Washington win eliminated Chicago, and Carolina was eliminated with their loss to Dallas. So let me tell you, I was mentioning this to you off mic, I think. Saints let me down again in reverse this time. So Sunday morning, I always bet against the Saints in our picks as like a whatever, but I never bet against them with like money. And Sunday morning, I'm like, there's no way they're going to lose. I mean, there's no way the Commanders can lose this game. So I put the Commanders and the Ravens in a teaser, 6-point teaser. So it's Commanders -1.5.
Mm-hmm.
And as Rattler is coming down the field, I'm thinking, oh no. So then he throws the touchdown pass to Moreau, and I'm like, well, okay, fine. Just you might as well win the game at this point. I figured they were going to
already lost my money.
Yeah. And I like look, I'm like most people. I liked the decision to go for two. I didn't necessarily love the play call. Johnson still could have caught the ball. Like that's still. I mean, I know Rattler kind of zoomed it in there, but it's kind of a catch.
I don't really like plays where you roll out to one side and you kind of just take away half the field. You make the defense basically just only have to cover half the field there.
Yeah, and look, the only reason the Saints were in the game, honestly, I mean, Rattler did play. I thought he played well, a lot better than the last time we saw him.
Well, he played a lot better than the other Saints quarterback in this game.
Oh, Jake Haynes?
Jake Haynes, which did you see the pictures of him that when they was announced as the starter? The
mugshot?
The sleigh action pass or whatever they were calling it.
Well, yeah, he took those his rookie year. Those made the rounds.
Man, that's pretty brutal. Someone said he was going to call a tush push on 3rd and 20. that was my favorite.
I saw that one. But yeah, so real quick on the Saints, looks like it's gonna be Rattler Monday night. Carr is, I think, out for the rest of the year. They haven't put him on IR. They said he's week to week.
What is the point in bringing him or Olave back at this point? Like
Olave's not. Yeah, I mean, I know Olave made the trip with them to New York for the Giant game, but the only reason I could see Carr Carr probably wants to come back, especially for the Raiders game. But to me, you use these last 3 weeks to figure out what Rattler is. And one thing I'll mention too with Rattler, so assuming he starts Monday night, which that looks like it's going to be, all of his starts this season will have been against playoff teams or in the moment. So he started against the Bucks, he started against the Chargers, and then he's starting against the Packers this week. And then I forget what the other game was that he started.
He played against the Commanders. That's not necessarily a start, but he did play against the Tommy.
Well, yeah, who are technically a playoff team as well. Was it the Broncos? Yeah, he started against the Broncos. That's right. Yeah, it was.
I remember that game.
The game in the middle. Yeah, I stayed up, and I'll be up Monday night because why not? Got nothing else going on. Anything else on the
Do you,
Commanders here?
yeah, do you have any questions about? I feel like they're kind of on a downward trend here with it, the way they perform.
Well,
Daniels has taken. He took 8 sacks in this game, and he's.
yeah,
I
which
heard I heard a stat that was like on he's scrambling on like 40% of his when he's pressured on 40% of his pressures, and so like that's a like he's way ahead of the next closest person. It's like not a sustainable way to live, but like
he he's the anti Kirk Cousins.
yes, he just get me out of here.
Yeah, and look, I mentioned this to you before we started. Saints defensive line is not formidable at all. So I think that's more of a comment on the offensive line of the Commanders. I will say there are Commanders. They've got a slippery slope here down the stretch. I know they have Philly this week.
Mm-hmm.
They have the Cowboys week 18, and then they have Atlanta week 17. Which that game just got flexed to Sunday night,
Yeah, it
week
did.
17. Yeah, yeah, because they replaced Brown. It was going to be Browns Dolphins, and they flexed it out for Commanders Falcons. I mean that could end up being basically for a playoff spot because
Right.
depending on which
What the
and
Bucks do?
also
Who
and
who wins
also
the South?
and also at this point it's going to be Jaden Daniels versus Michael Penix, as we
Yeah,
found out today. We'll talk more about that with the Falcons later. But anything else on this game?
I think that's it. I think we can move on to the. We need an award for whatever this game was, but Dick LeBeau presents Bengals 37, Titans 27, 26 penalties, 10 turnovers. Um, the Bengals had a pick six. They had
Yep.
what should have been another pick six, except the defensive back lost the ball out of bounds as he's
I
going into
forget.
the end zone.
I think people forgot about this one because of the Jonathan Taylor
Mm-hmm.
play later in the day. But yeah,
Well, that one was much
uh,
more consequential. This one didn't end up
right,
actually
right.
impacting the game. But we also had a big boy stumbling, bumbling, rumbling play.
Shout out to Longhorn legend Tavondre
Andre
Sweat. Right?
Sweat. Yeah, he was working up a sweat with that
By
one.
the
But
by the way, I meant to send you this video. I don't think I sent it to you. He came into the stadium Sunday wearing
uh-huh,
like a burnt orange coat with the
uh-huh.
Longhorn logo on it. You'd have been proud.
No, I would have.
You'd have been proud. Yeah. So Mina Kimes, I think, described this game perfectly on Twitter. She called it, "This is the funniest game of the year."
It is.
Like just
Absolutely.
and here's the thing. Before the game, I kind of expected this to be a little back and forth
Mm-hmm.
because the Bengals defense is not great, and we know Will Levis keeps the other team in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had I think he had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and then after the third one, that was
Yeah, they brought in
that's it, buddy.
Rudolph, and then Rudolph had an interception too. So it's like,
It didn't get much better after that.
and
Yeah, this
Rudolph
was
looks like
the
Rudolph's going
stoppable
to be the
stoppable force versus the movable object.
Rudolph's going to end up starting moving forward. It looks like. So I guess the Titans are now in the quarterback market.
Too bad Rudolph's not playing on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. It's a
Really?
missed opportunity there on the or on Christmas for that matter.
Yeah, on
Could
the
you
marketing front.
You imagine Netflix like, hey, the NFL's like, hey, can we put the Titans on Christmas? Excuse me,
No, they're terrible.
but their quarterback's
Get out.
Rudolph.
Yeah, come on.
Right.
Come on, Netflix. Don't you where's your holiday spirit?
Titans, listen, Titans Jaguars on Christmas Day. Who says no, right?
All
Netflix,
of America.
that's it. All of America. Real quick on the Bengals, insert broken record. Bengals are still in it. They still got a
You're not
chance.
fooling me this time, buddy.
All they got to do is win out, and they make well. I think they need some help, but
From the Chargers,
yeah,
maybe?
no, that's what it is. They have to win out. Either the Chargers or the Broncos have to lose out,
Uh-huh.
which the Bengals play the Broncos week 17. And the Colts and the Dolphins each have to lose at least one game. I
Okay.
think it's the breakdown I saw. Basically the Bengals are last in line in terms of
The
playoff
hierarchy.
the hierarchy right now. So at this point, and we'll talk about the eliminations. They're on the cusp here. They're on the bubble, as it were. Another team on the bubble. Vic Fangio presents Texans 20, Dolphins 12. So Houston wins. Indianapolis loses. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Houston clinches the AFC South, the most unimpressive division winner I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I've seen some. I've seen a few more.
Well, that's true. But I mean,
Yeah, I think the 2020 season when Dak was hurt, the Commanders
oh
won
yeah,
the
that's
NFC
right.
East with
Yeah.
the losing record. I think they were like
Well, who was their quarterback that year? Was it Howell?
no, it was Taylor Heineke.
That was Heineke. Okay.
Yeah, and then they got destroyed in the
In the
first round of
playoff.
the playoffs.
Yeah,
Shocker.
and then the Dolphins losing with Indianapolis losing also clinches a playoff spot for the Steelers. So their game that we'll talk about here in a little bit didn't matter for them, and you could probably tell by the way they played. Uh, yeah, the Dolphins. I don't know that I'm just disappointed is the word I came up with. They kind of came out. Now I will say Texans defense played well. We've given the Texans a lot of grief this year for good reason. Their defense is pretty good. Like it's
I think their defense is more of the strength of their team than their offense
yeah
is.
yeah I
Not
agree with
rocket
that.
science to make
Right.
that claim. I think they. I don't know if they. It was hard to see from what I watched whether it was Houston making Tua off schedule or if Tua was just off schedule, but he was off schedule, and you could tell with some of the throws
Right.
he made.
Well,
He had that underthrow to Tyreek on one, and then one where he just hit a defender like in the middle of the field, looked like he never saw him.
um, so a couple of folks I saw on Twitter, Ben Solak amongst them, were very complimentary of the defensive scheme D'Amico Ryan's came up with against Tua.
Hmm.
He showed. I was watching a breakdown Ben Solak had of two plays where he said he described the Texans running an inverted Tampa 2. So
Uh huh.
instead of the linebacker dropping off
Uh
into
huh.
coverage, that safety, they had a deep safety. He came into the that kind of that
Like the
zone
middle of
area.
that's middle seam area.
And that was Bullock. And the first time it happened, he almost got an interception. And the next time it happened, he did get an interception. So,
Mm-hmm.
also our thoughts with Grant Dubose, I believe is
Yes,
how you pronounce his name.
staying in Houston for the
Yeah,
helmet hit.
I believe he's still here. I believe he's
Yeah.
still at Memorial Herman. So, I mean, it was scary. It was definitely, they ended up they had to cut his jersey off of him, and yeah,
Mm.
it was some scary stuff. But hopefully the last I heard, he has feeling in his extremities, so
Uh-huh.
that's good.
That's good to hear.
So that's good to hear. Uh, moving on. Don Wink Martindale presents Ravens 35, Giants 14. We don't have to talk too much about this game.
Ravens
I
did what
mean,
they were supposed to do.
yeah, Ravens did what they're supposed to do. Lamar, look, I get it. He had 5 touchdowns, but he's not back in this MVP discussion. We'll talk about.
Yeah, it's Josh Allen's to lose at this point, I think.
Well,
Which is
he might have been in the MVP discussion for like 3 hours, and then
Mhm.
once the line once the Bills game was over, it's like, okay, sorry, you're
yeah,
now
you are now in second place,
you're now
very
you're
firmly in
fighting
second.
you're fighting for second. Speaking of fighting for second, or fighting for first, I guess
Sometimes,
the first pick. Only Nathaniel Hackett could present Jets 32, Jags 25. I was actually looking at the play by play of this game before we started because I had it on the tablet but I wasn't paying that close attention to it. It looked like it was a somewhat entertaining game. Um,
Yeah, it was.
Devontae Adams just randomly decides to have a 200-yard receiving game, and
Yeah, and
like,
it felt like in the so the Jags were up 7-0 here. The Jets got it back and then had a ran a fake punt in their own into the field and picked it up.
Mhm.
And then it went back and forth. The Jets had two like drives to go ahead, and really like this was bad clock management from them because they had Devontae Adams caught a deep pass and
I'm
then was tackled.
I'm stunned.
You're stunned, I'm sure.
Color
But they
color me shocked. Yeah.
yeah, so they got the ball deep, like down at the goal line, basically with like almost no time left. But instead of just running the time off the clock and kicking the chip shot field goal, they ran a play. The Jags allowed them to score, and then the Jags got the ball back, and then Mac Jones threw an interception to lose it. But like you could have just run the clock down there, and then we would have gotten the three. We would have had the 3.5 covered if the Jets had been actually competent. Um, so
That's a shame.
yeah, that is a shame. I
Uh,
will say Brian Thomas Jr. seems like a
yeah,
piece moving forward, so that's at
yeah,
least something the Jags have to be happy about.
yeah. I mean, if you're the Jags, we keep thinking that they're going to move on from Peterson. It's going to
Hmm.
be I would think it's going to be a desirable job because you're going to have a top 10 pick. You've got Trevor Lawrence,
Hmm.
Brian Thomas Jr. You just mentioned ATN. Their running back is good. I mean,
Hmm.
he's pretty solid, and Bigsby as well. You also have Gabe Davis on the team. I don't know how. Why is he injured or
I don't know. I haven't kept up super closely with the availability of Jaguars receivers.
of Jaguars receivers? Why not?
Well, I'm
uh,
out, I'm out of fantasy football, so that's
no,
probably part of
fair
it.
enough. Fair enough. This. So the Jaguars continue their climb to the top of the NFL draft. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't look like. I guess Gabe Davis isn't playing. So apologies to Jags fans who are probably yelling at us that about Gabe Davis' status. But anyway, yeah. So both of these teams going to be looking for new coaches next year. So good luck to them. Also looking for a new coach next year. Well, maybe will
Maybe.
be the will be the Browns. Romeo Crennel presents Chiefs 21, Browns 7. Big news out of this game was Mahomes getting injured and Carson Wentz having to come in to finish off the game. The game was already out of reach by that point. Uh,
Jameis.
Jameis, be,
Jameis
Jameis
is
was
the
being
Jameis.
Jameis.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw, but he has now been benched.
Yes. So they did make the move to go to what is it? DTR,
Yeah,
Dorian Thompson
DTR
Robinson.
DTR will be starting. So that game, their game this week actually got flexed. It was supposed to be Thursday night, Bengals Browns. That got
Hmm.
flexed for Broncos Chargers, which I was actually going to make an argument that they should have kept it as Bengals Browns because Jameis on Thursday night, I think would have been more entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Right.
Broncos Chargers is a good game. Don't get me wrong, but like when you look at the slate of games on Sunday, when we'll get to, uh, they could have easily had. It would have been nice to have Broncos Chargers on Sunday. I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But getting back to this game, yeah, the Chiefs with Mahomes, I
He he was listed as a full participant in practice
yeah,
today. I will say that. So
there's no way he's playing Christmas Day, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like he'll sprain it. He'll twist his ankle every like once a year and kind of limp around for a little bit and then be perfectly fine. So
Let
I
me
would.
ask. Let me ask you this way: would you play him if it was your decision? Would you play him Christmas Day?
I think they're trying to get the 1 seed, trying to lock that up as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
think.
just I I'm gonna be honest. I think Carson Wentz can beat Houston. But
Whoa!
I mean,
Now that is a bold claim.
well, look. Like, I mean, I know we just got done complimenting Houston, but like, let's be realistic here. By the way, you mentioned fake punt in the Jets Jaguars game.
Hmm.
We totally missed Army Navy. The best fake punt of the season, probably. Did you see this?
I think this
It's
was like the one play I missed. I like had gone. I don't remember because it was Saturday, so I think we were packing to get
right,
ready for the part. We were getting ready for the party, and so like I think
right.
that I remember seeing, but I did not see the actual play of it.
Big, yeah. It was a fake punt. So the two, they had two players up near the center. They snapped it to one of them, who handed it off to the other.
Uh
But
huh.
the guy that was the ball was handed off to happened to be like a defensive tackle, and
Uh
this
huh.
and this big fellow was moving, man. You talk about
Stumbling, bumbling, rumbling.
stumbling, bumbling, rumbling, man. Whew. It reminded me of remember the Saints Chiefs game when the Saints defensive tackle got the interception
Yes, yes, I
at the
do.
goal line. It reminded me of that. It was
It
that. It
was
was very
moving
much.
like that.
It was moving like that. So,
Paul,
so
I have
shout
some.
out.
I have some news for you.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
we'll be doing our picks. So I won't spoil the whole thing, but the on the picks line for ESPN, it was Chiefs plus 1.5. It is now Kansas City minus 2.5 on my
Yeah,
market.
I saw that on. Yeah, I saw that. But for our purposes, it's Chiefs plus 1.5, right?
That is correct. But
Okay.
just for it looks like the
Yeah.
market thinks Mahomes will play.
Yeah, I looked on Rebet earlier, and it looked like it was it had shifted. So, all right, you want to take the?
Speaking of shifting, we'll shift into the late slate. The what may be, I don't know if does this overtake last week's game of the year of Rams Bills. Now we have Dick Duran presents Bills 48, Lions 42. Um, you had Lions minus 1.5. I had Bills plus 1.5. It looked like Detroit's kind of been worn down on the defensive end with just injuries, and it looked
Yeah.
like this caught up to him because the Bills basically moved the ball at will for pretty much this entire game,
Mm-hmm.
which I think at that point I kind of understand the onside kick because of that. Your defense wasn't getting any stops.
Yeah.
Like what you might as well like take that 8%
Well,
chance. Like
it's
I
it's
don't
the
think
classic. It's the classic Dan Campbell thing, right? If they get that onside kick, he's a genius,
yeah.
right? And so yeah, and in the moment, I think I texted you and I said I don't agree with that, but I understand the logic. You're
Hmm.
you're you're not stopping. Although the previous Bills drive before that, you held them to a field goal. So I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, it's
there's
a
yeah.
I don't think it's 100% the right call, but I can at least be talked into it because I can see I see why you made the decision. I don't necessarily 100% think it's the right thing.
Now, what I will say, Dan Campbell's explanation after the game
Uh huh.
was no good. Did you hear this?
No, that I missed.
He said I forget how the question was phrased, but they asked him about the onside kick. He's like, "Well, yeah, I just thought we'd get the ball. Like like he made it sound as though his thought process was, well, we're getting the ball, so we're gonna go for it. Like he didn't.
I wonder if that's him just not wanting to say our defense sucked today.
Yeah, fair enough. No, and
But-
that's fair, but like I feel like he didn't handle the aftermath of that as well as he possibly could. But for me, the Lions, even before that, they just came out flat. I mean, you have to remember, Lions are coming off a Thursday night game,
Mhm.
so they went Thursday to Sunday. Bills are coming off that Rams game, which was back and forth, up and down, and yeah, and look, and the defensive injuries for the Lions just proves winning a Super Bowl is hard. Like,
It's yeah,
and it's
you've got to be good, but you've also got to be really lucky too.
yeah. I was thinking about this with the Saints because in 2009, like when they won the Super Bowl, they really were lucky with injuries. Like they didn't really have. I think the only major injury they had that year was like Heath Evans, their fullback, got hurt. Like that was
Uh-huh.
about it. But like for the Lions, man, I mean they've got just injuries piling up, and I mean, and they're very much in a dangerous, slippery slope here. They could end up being the 5 seed. Uh, which
Yeah, there's 3 teams that are 12-2 right now. It's them,
is
Minnesota in their
ridiculous.
own division, and
Yep.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, and look, the Lions. I mean, they still have the old everybody's favorite phrase. They control their own destiny, kind of
Mhm.
thing. But for the Bills, look, we mentioned it earlier. Josh Allen's the MVP. If you have an MVP vote and you're not voting for Josh Allen, I don't know what else he can do to get your vote. Like this is just. I mean,
As
he's
long as he
making
doesn't like fall
throws
off a cliff, right?
right, and his last 3 games are Patriots twice with the Jets in the middle. So like, I mean, it. I I I feel like this is just it's over and done.
Mhm.
But that's just me. I've been wrong before. Could be wrong again, but
Yeah.
we'll see. One game I was not wrong about. This is Tom Bass presents Buccaneers 40, Chargers 17. So we both had the Bucks plus 3.5, but I have to. I'll speak for myself here. I don't want to speak for you, but to me, this is the most impressive win of the week for Tampa Bay to go into LA and just, I mean, put a hurting on the Chargers. I thought I was just really impressed with the way Baker was throwing it. Like they're sneaky. We talked about this,
Their offense is really good.
and this is without Godwin. I mean, like
Mhm.
like they're missing pieces here. The rookie McMillan's playing really well, and uh, they're so this is why going back to the Lions. Like if you're the Lions and you fall to that 5 seed, and you have to go to Tampa Bay. Remember, Tampa Bay beat
Mhm.
Detroit. They're the only team. Tampa Bay's the only team that beat Detroit and Philadelphia this year. That
Mhm.
beat both of them. So
Yeah, they're a very good team.
they're very
They're going to be a
very
handful
good team,
no matter who they end up playing.
and they have an outside chance of possibly getting the 3 seed. I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you'll only have only two of those current 12-2 teams will be able to take those first 2 seeds, so they can
right.
get up to
Yeah, they
3.
can't. Yeah, they could get up to 3 depending on the Rams. And I don't think they played the Rams this year,
I don't think so.
so there wouldn't be a head to head. So it would come down to. But yeah, and then for the Chargers, they're kind of on a slippery slope too. With the Broncos winning now, the Chargers with the 8 wins. I still think they'll be okay. They have the Broncos this week, and then they have the Patriots and the Raiders to finish out. So as long as they win, I think as long as they win one of those games, they're in.
Hmm.
The only uh, problem would be is if they lost all 3 games, which I don't see that happening. But
Yeah, I think some of it is like I think one of the stats I saw was that someone listed the quarterbacks that their defense had beaten this year, and it was not
yeah,
a particularly impressive list.
right,
So, like
right.
they're still, I mean, they're having a good season and they're going to outperform their expectations. Um, but they're probably like we've talked about before. They're probably still a couple of years away from being like a real solid contender.
Yeah, they definitely fall in the who have they beaten
Yeah.
category. I would
Yep.
say. Yeah.
Speaking
You want
of
to take this next one?
Yeah, speaking of who have they beaten,
Oh
Bud
boy.
Carson presents Eagles 27, Steelers 13. This is the best win the Eagles have had, and I think the most important part of this is probably the fact that like they actually threw the ball well, um,
Yeah.
like that because they haven't even in their wins, their passing game hasn't been particularly effective, but Hurts was effective against what's usually a good uh,
Yeah.
Steelers pass rush. The I will say, like, I was reading an article about Russell Wilson, and basically his efficiency is reliant on the deep ball. Like, if you take away his
Yeah.
deep passes, he's basically his EPA numbers are like 0 or slightly negative. And so
Yep.
with Pittsburgh not having Pickens in this game, they basically you take away your deep threat, and so they are kind of lost without that. And then I watched a little bit of this game before we were getting ready to leave on Sunday, and so I think the Philadelphia had just gone up 7, or they were up 7. It was 20-13. Pittsburgh's driving. They run a toss play to Najee Harris, and Harris fumbles it.
Yep.
Philadelphia jumps on it. They drive down for another touchdown, and then basically Pittsburgh has nothing left at that point. So they kind of like that miscue basically, and then Philadelphia ended the game with like a 20-yard, 22 play
10-minute
drive that
drive. Yeah.
sucked out the rest of the clock. So
Yeah. Pittsburgh only had 2 drives the entire second half.
yeah,
It was
that's not going to get it done.
not going to get it done. I had in the notes here. This is, I think, the game. I think people kept waiting for the Steelers to have a game like this, where I don't think people truly believe in the Steelers. As in the
Upper
Chiefs,
tier,
yeah,
yeah.
the Chiefs Bills stratosphere. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, they'll have a chance to redeem themselves a little bit with the Ravens this week. Obviously, that's going to be a big game Saturday. And then Steelers are part of that. Those 4 teams that have this 3 games in 11-day slate, with the game Saturday and the game on Christmas. But for the Steelers, the good news is this is a non-conference game, so it doesn't hurt your playoffs chances that bad.
Couldn't they have had this game against like anybody else?
Well, yeah, for you, yeah, that's fair enough. But
from my perspective,
for your perspective, yeah. But yeah, I'm not going to throw in the terrible towel, as it were, on Pittsburgh just yet. Moving on here, John Fox, former Super Bowl, brought the Panthers. We discussed this last week. Brought the Panthers to the Super Bowl.
Correct, not the Broncos.
Not the Broncos. But he is presenting Broncos 31, Colts 13. So we mentioned this earlier, but the Colts loss combined with the Houston win clinches the AFC South for Houston. For the Broncos, yeah, took care of business. The Colts came out pretty good, but then the Taylor just brain fart.
I call it the Deshaun Jackson Memorial
Right.
fumble it too early play.
Yep. And I had this game on a little bit. I know Knicks didn't play
I think he had 3 interceptions.
particularly well. He made enough throws there to kind of get him by. Well, the Broncos defense had 5 takeaways, so that helped.
Yeah, so you had so it was like I think that Jonathan Taylor play would have put them up 13.
Yep.
It doesn't. The Broncos get it back. The Colts ran like a trick play where Adonai Mitchell took forever to try to throw the ball back, and then it got picked off by Nick Bonito and taken back for a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
so that basically like once that happens, like then it was over. But it's just that I don't know. It really felt like the Taylor play was the swinging play, and the one that this hinged on.
Yeah, because that ladder that what in the books goes down as a fumble return.
Mm-hmm.
That made it 24-13, and that pretty much after that
all she wrote.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah,
real quick, go ahead.
The Taylor touchdown would have put the Colts up 20-7, I think, and so then you look at the flip that happens because of that play.
That's real quick on Knicks, 20 of 33, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
That's a little bit of a step back for him.
Yeah, and they only ran and he was Knicks was the leading rusher of the team with 23 yards. So
Ooh.
Yeah, it was rough. Richardson, meanwhile, 17 of 38, 172, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. So not the best quarterback play in this game. This is just, but you know what though? If you're Denver, you look at it as an ugly game. We got to win. We're 1 win closer. They are now in the win and in territory for the playoffs. So you can't be too mad. It's kind of the best kind of win, right? Where you have stuff you can build on, but you also got a win. So
Right. So you played your worst one of your worst games and still
yeah, it's
didn't weren't burned by
still
it.
got still got to win. And for the Colts, I mean, they're not officially out of it, but they're definitely on the bubble. They're on the bubble with Miami and Cincinnati. Uh, last late window game here. Fritz Shermer presents Cardinals 30, Patriots 17. I didn't catch too much of this game. I know Drake. Did you see the Drake had one really good play? I don't know if you saw
I
this.
did not see that.
He was scrambling. They're in the red zone. He's scrambling, and classic defender comes to tackle him, and he just kind of shovel passes it to a guy in the end zone for a touchdown. Like
Uh-huh.
he just kind of like shovel pass. Oh, by the way, Josh Allen had a chest pass. Did you see this?
I did see that one.
They didn't count. It got called back for
Yeah, I got
holding,
caught back for a penalty, right?
but but this was kind of a similar play from the Drake, but it wasn't a chest pass. It was just kind of
Flick.
a flick. I will say, good good showing by your cousin in this game, James
He's
Connors.
having a quite a year.
He's having a hell of a year. He just got didn't he? He just got paid, right? He just got a big extension, I think, right, from
I
the
think so.
Cardinals. Good for him. 16 carries, 110 yards for Mr. Connor there. I mean, the Drake was 19 of 23, 202 yards, one touchdown, one interception. I did when I was listening to Bill Simmons talk about this game, and obviously he's a Patriots fan, and he was saying that they kind of don't let Drake do a lot, like they kind of keep him under wraps, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But so I don't know. I still think he's got. I'm kind of interested. I'm glad that they pushed the Bills Patriots game this week got pushed back to the late window.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of glad. I want to see how Drake does
The Bills.
against Buffalo. Yeah, against the Bills, because I think he and Allen share some similar qualities. Like they're
Kind of being able to move around in the pocket, get
yeah. So
work
I'm
outside
interested
the
to see.
structure.
I'm interested to see how he handles that this week.
Fair. All right, Sunday night, Mike Holmgren, of course, presents Packers 30, Seahawks 13. We both had the Seahawks on this. Geno Smith goes out.
Yeah.
This was a pretty rough loss from Seattle.
Well,
I actually thought they would have played better for this.
this is another example of a team that just kind of came out flat. I mean, well, that in combination with the Packers just came out ready to go. They definitely the Packers definitely fell in that category of who have you beaten? Because if you kind
Right.
of look at the Packers wins, they've basically beaten the AFC South. Like, but
Good
two of
job.
those games, against the Texans, and I think the Jaguars came down to like the last play, like the last drive.
I will
They,
say against Tennessee, they did win that game with their backup quarterback with Malik.
true, that's true. That's a good point. They did win 2 games with Malik,
Yep.
and they beat up on the 49ers when they were kind of not at their best. And if you look at their 4 losses, the Packers, they lost to the Eagles,
Mm-hmm.
they've lost to the Vikings, and they lost to the Lions twice. So
Right.
that's pretty good to say, like, your 4 losses are the 3 best teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and, you can't help, you play who you play. They're not going to improve that any this week by playing the Saints, but yeah, I think the Packers, they're a dangerous team. It all's really dependent on Jordan Love. If he's careless with the ball, then it's not going to go well for the Packers. Josh Jacobs has been a good addition for them. We've talked about on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with them. I did want to shout out Mike Holmgren. Meant to mention this last week. He is a Hall of Fame finalist this year. That was announced, I believe, 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So hopefully, hopefully he gets in. Uh, for him, hopefully for him. For the Seahawks, yeah, with Gino, I don't know what the situation is with Gino's injury. They've got the Vikings this week. If it's
It,
Sam Howell, it's going to
it
be
sounded like it was going to be Howell from everything I've heard. But
well, then that's not going to be good for
it's
business.
not going to be good for business. That's not going to be good
Yeah,
for anybody except for me, who
yeah.
bet on the opposite side of that game
No, there you
already.
go. So, yeah, yeah, you got that one quick.
Yeah, let's get it before Sam Howell is definitely the starter
Uh,
here.
speaking of the opposite side of that game, the Vikings they played Monday night and a doubleheader Monday night, a doubleheader that no one asked for. Uh, Brad Childress presented Vikings 30, Bears 12. So Minnesota wins with a win. They were in. Chicago lost and they're out. But Chicago, I think, was already out
Yeah, based on
from an
the earlier games.
earlier result. But anyway, so yeah, so Minnesota's now in, and again, still have control their own destiny in terms of the one seed. They and the Lions are both, win out, and you're the one seed. Philly to get the one seed, they need some help. They would have to win out and get some help from
One of
a
the other two
lot
teams.
one of the other two teams. But yeah, the Viking. I didn't watch much of this game. Definitely still impressed with what the Vikings are doing. For the Bears, yikes!
It's
Uh,
it's gotten pretty
it's rough.
bad.
It's rough.
They are 0-8 since the moment of the Hail Mary
Yep.
turnaround and taunt the crowd.
Yeah, I saw today, and I reached out to our friend Andy, the Bears fan. I saw that Vrabel is high on their list for coaches. Apparently, he and Ryan Poles have a good relationship. Ryan Poles, the GM,
Mm-hmm.
and Andy didn't seem opposed to that idea.
Do you want another defensive coach, though? Is my question. I know, like
But
more of a
see, I don't. Yeah, I don't
or
think of Vrabel as a defensive coach. I think of Vrabel as a CEO
yeah,
coach.
that
I think of him in the Dan Campbell type of category. Um, my biggest thing now, what caused me for caused me to pause was his OC candidates. The names I saw were Josh McDaniels and Tommy Reese, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you want that. Yeah, I don't. I don't know if you want that. I'd almost rather Kingsbury be your head coach and just try that. Um, but yeah, I think the Bears just need. I don't know, man. I mean, here's one thing I wanted to mention with the Browns too. We talked about a couple weeks ago. I said, the Browns are in a pretty good spot because even though they have the Deshaun contract kind of hovering over them, they're going to have a top 5 pick. Well, no, they're not. They're currently like this. The Browns are 3-11,
uh-huh.
and they currently have the 7th overall pick, which is absurd.
For
Because
that
if you look at
terrible of a season.
right, because if you look at last year, the Commanders picked second in the draft with a 4-13 record.
Uh-huh.
The Bears are on track for a 4-13 record, and they're picking ninth right now. So it's just, I guess it's the scales balancing, right? If you're going to have 3 12-2 teams in the
You're gonna have
NFC,
some
you're going to
really
have really bad teams. Yeah,
yeah.
so
There's not much of a middle class right now.
yeah, there isn't. Speaking of bad teams, Hugh Jackson presents Falcons 15, Raiders 9. Look, I was not surprised.
Hugh Jackson being the pick for this, let me say, is very just spiritually on point.
Yeah, of course. Um, was not surprised. I didn't watch much, if any, of this game. Was not shocked at all when I woke up this morning and saw the score. I was like, "Yep, that sounds about right."
Yep.
We talked about this, or I think we alluded to this a minute ago. Kirk Cousins has been benched. They're going with Michael Penix moving forward. Now, how funny would it be? We all made fun of Atlanta for drafting Penix in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And how funny would it be if he led them to the playoffs? Because again, because it's the NFC South, they still have a chance. They would need Tampa to lose a game along the way between now and the end of the season. Because remember, the Falcons have the tiebreaker over the Bucks because they beat them
Mm-hmm.
twice, which is absurd to think about at this point. Um, but there's also a backdoor way for the Falcons to get in to the wild card to the 7th seed. They would have to win out,
Washington would
and the
probably have to lose outright.
Washington. Well, they don't have to lose out; they have to lose one more game. So
Okay.
if the Commanders lost to say the Eagles this week, and then because the Falcons play the Commanders next week, right? So if the Falcons win out, including that game, they get to 10-7, and then the Commanders, the best the Commanders could get to is 9 because they're at 8 right now. So um, maybe they get some help from the Cowboys the last
Maybe
week of the year,
so.
last week of the season.
We'll see
But
what
yeah,
we can do.
and then for the Raiders, whew,
What is there left to say about the Raiders?
they're bad, bro. That's
Very, very bad.
I mean,
Have fun with
I mean,
Coach Prime next year.
I guess that's what's going to happen. I don't know, man. It's going to be that. I'm interested to see what happens with them with their situation next year. Be a very, very interesting. Okay, real quick, before we move on to the previews for Week 16, let's do a little playoff roundup here. So the following teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. In the AFC, we have the Jets, the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders, the Jaguars, and the Patriots. So that's, by my count here, 6 teams that have been eliminated in the AFC. And in the NFC, only 3 teams: Giants, Panthers, and Bears. Oh my. As far as clinches in the AFC, this is kind of interesting. In the AFC, we've had 4 teams clinch. 3 of the 4 are division winners already. So the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Texans have all clinched their division.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers have clinched a playoff spot, and if the Steelers beat the Ravens this week, they will clinch the AFC North. Over in the NFC, we have 3 teams that have clinched. No divisions have been clinched yet. That could change this week. Lions, Eagles, and Vikings have all clinched a playoff spot. Excuse me. All right, we're going to move on to Week 16. So the theme for this week, in honor of the Heisman Trophy presentation this past weekend, I tried to. So I kind of did this in reverse. I started with the Monday night game and I was like, oh, I can use a Heisman Trophy winner as the Immaculate Grid match.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically all the late games on Sunday, they all had Heisman Trophy winners. And then as I went backwards, it got harder. so so these are all somewhat Heisman related. So just bear with me here. So let's start with the Thursday night game. I mentioned this a minute ago, but this was a flex game. It was supposed to be Browns Bengals, but it will be Melvin Gordon, who finished second in the 2014 Heisman voting. And I can't remember who won it that year. I forgot to look it up. But he will present Broncos at Chargers. The Chargers are laying 2.5. Real quick, the playoff implications here. Broncos win and they're in. Very simple. If the Chargers win, they would need a loss from Indianapolis and Miami in addition to their win to get in. Looks like we're both taking the 2.5 with the Broncos here.
Yeah, I think they bounced back after their kind of. I mean, they still won the game, but kind of a rough showing against Indianapolis. But I'll take them to get back on track right here.
I do expect this to be a close game. These 2 teams have played already this season, I believe. Let me check that real quick here. And yeah, they played. When did they play? Ooh, yeah, close. It was 23-16 Chargers was the last time they played. Back on October 13th. So I don't remember that game too fine. I think that was okay. That was right before the Broncos played the Saints. So Nick's was still kind of figuring things out. So we'll see if he's gotten any better, or how much better he's gotten, I guess. In this game.
Hopefully, he plays better than last week, or otherwise, we're going to be dead wrong on this one.
Yeah. All right. So exciting news here. We have 2 Saturday games this week. The first one brought to you by the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. He finished fifth in the 2011 Heisman voting. I'm pretty sure that was the Robert Griffin III year that
Yes.
he won the Heisman. He is presenting, Tyrann Mathieu, that is presenting Texans at Chiefs. So we mentioned this a minute ago. For our picks, for the purposes of our picks, it's Chiefs plus 1.5. If you go out on the betting market right now, I think you said you can get a what, Chiefs minus 2.5.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting Chiefs plus 1.5 at the
Okay,
moment after the
so
Schefter
yeah,
report.
so obviously you and I are taking Chiefs plus 1.5 based on this.
Yep.
We'll see if Mahomes plays. For the Chiefs, if they win and Buffalo loses, then the Chiefs will clinch the 1 seed. For the Texans, I just want to mention this. I think I retweeted this from our account earlier. The Texans are locked in. They can't get any worse than 4 at this point, the 4 seed,
Mm-hmm.
but they can potentially get up to the 3 seed and maybe even the 2. They would need a lot of help, obviously.
Yes.
They would need Buffalo to lose, and they would have to win out. But just throwing it out there. Another LSU alum, Patrick Queen, and this is when I said it got hard. This is what I mean. Patrick, you might say Patrick Queen was never in the Heisman race. No, but he was a teammate of the 2019 Heisman winner Joe Burrow. So Patrick Queen's going to present Steelers at Ravens. He's actually going to be playing in Steelers at Ravens, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
I
he?
think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
he's on the Ravens, right? Or he's on one of
Wait,
these
Patrick.
teams.
No, Patrick Queen is now on the Steelers. He was
He's on the
originally
Okay.
with the Ravens, now with the
Okay, so
Steelers.
he's in this game either
Yes.
way. All right, so Ravens are laying 5.5. The implications here: Steelers win, they clinch the North. Ravens win, they will clinch the playoffs. The Ravens can also clinch the playoffs if the Colts and the Dolphins both lose. A Pittsburgh loss or a Kansas City win will knock the Steelers out of the number 1 seed contention. So we're both looks like we're both taking the 5.5 with the Steelers here.
Yeah. Anytime these two teams play, I think if especially when it's this many points, you just kind of take the points. It's
Yeah,
feels like the thing to do here.
yeah, I agree. It's definitely gonna be one of those paint swapping games. Yep, definitely. But if you're the Steelers, I mean, let me ask this question: If you're the Steelers, if you win this game, would you consider maybe resting folks the rest of the way just to get ready for the playoffs?
Maybe like limiting snap counts. I don't think you want to just like pull everybody and have them not play at all, because I think you kind of lose some of your edge. But I would
Yeah,
I think you can start, kind of maybe pulling them a little earlier in games if you want to.
I will say, because they have the Chiefs on Christmas Day, and then they close with the Bengals last game of the year. So we'll see. But yeah, we're both taking the 5.5 with the Steelers here. Moving on to Sunday. So we got a legitimate Heisman Trophy winner here.
Mm-hmm.
The 2014 Heisman Trophy winner, Marcus Mariota, presents Eagles at Commanders. Commanders are getting 3.5 points. So for Philadelphia, it's pretty simple. They win this game, they clinch the NFC East, much to your dismay. If the Commanders win and get some help from an Atlanta loss and a loss by either the Rams or the Seahawks, they will clinch a playoff spot. We are both laying the 3.5 with the
Eagles.
with the Eagles. Yeah, I think this for me, for you, it's probably more of a jinx type situation. Look, I'm not impressed by.
What Washington's been a little underwhelming lately too. So like
Well, that's what I was
the
gonna say. I'm not impressed by either of these teams, really. I know, and I think I texted you this. I think yesterday. Sirianni just sounds dumb when he talks. Like I don't know. He just like
I think that might be because he is, but
I, well, I forget what he was talking about. I oh no, I know what it was. He was because in the game Sunday, he got into a little
Spat.
altercation with a little spat with Jordan Davis, right? Or Jalen
Uh-huh.
Carter. And I think they were asking him about it, and he's like, the way he is, like, he was very like talking in circles, and I'm just like, this guy just doesn't sound smart. Like, he just not.
Yeah, he kind of does that pretty often. And he's not one of the ones who strikes you as one of the more brilliant
Right.
minds in the league.
No, no. But I mean, he wins games, I guess. Hey, remember when the Eagles were like 2-2, and he was going to get fired, and they were going to fire him in the bye week. Remember that?
Yeah, I miss those days when they were
Missed those
terrible.
days.
The version of the Eagles I liked best is the one that was crashing out after like a huge, awesome start to the season. They were like 10-1, and then went on to just completely fall apart last year. I like
Yeah.
that version of the Eagles a lot better.
Well, here's a team hoping not to crash out after a strong start to the season. Chase Daniel, who was fourth in the Heisman voting in 2007, presents the Lions at the Bears. Bears plus 6.5. This is a rematch from Thanksgiving, the infamous Eberflus gets fired game. We're both laying the points. Look, I consider taking the 6.5 of the Bears, but I just can't trust the Bears anymore. Like,
No,
I
like
can't.
I know
do it.
they had that second half against Detroit, but like, what have they done to make you feel like they're going to be able to manage that again?
Yeah, I can't. I can't do it, Jerry.
Yeah.
Not in good conscience. Yeah, for the Lions, they gotta keep winning if they want that one seed.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw. I retweeted this from the show account. Dan Campbell went on a local radio show and kind of gave an expletive laden.
I saw this. I didn't get a chance to watch it though because I saw it. I was
Yeah.
at work and I didn't have a chance to kind of pull
check
it
it.
up.
Check it out when you get a chance. I retweeted it and I put the GIF of the
This
cursed
yogurt is
toast.
so good.
No. Here's the. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember the cursed toast. You remember the cursed
Oh yeah, the
toast?
curse toast. That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
I did see your quote tweet with that.
Yeah. So I went that route. I'm gonna give you the assist on this one. I had LaMarcus Joyner as a teammate of Jameis Winston, but you pulled through. So I thought this was true, but I couldn't verify it at 2:00 in the morning. Whenever it was, I came up with this idea. Joe Namath, who finished 11th in the Heisman in 1964, presents Rams at Jets. You talk about a must see game anywhere.
Yeah,
Jets are.
when I saw this, I was like, surely Joe Namath was at least in the Heisman conversation
I
at
just
one
couldn't
point during
find
college.
where did you find that he was 11th in the Heisman on?
I just searched Joe Namath Heisman and it popped up on his Wikipedia page.
There you go.
So
Bad job by me there. But anyway, Rams Jets are getting 3.5. We're both laying the 3.5 with the Rams. The Rams are not in a clinching scenario at this point, but it would definitely behoove them to win this game, obviously.
yeah, given my history with the Jets, though, that means the Jets will cover this spread. The Rams will win by 3 or lose this game.
I mean, look, I don't put it past the Jets to just like screw up the Rams' chances here. Like, who knows? I mean, they're Rodgers has got that documentary coming out on Netflix. He's trying to show out, right? All right, moving on here. Jason Campbell, who finished 7th in the Heisman voting, 2004. Did he ever play for the Cowboys? Jason
He
Campbell?
did not. No.
He did not? Okay. He presents Browns at Bengals. So this was originally going to be the Thursday night game that got flexed to Sunday. Browns at Bengals. Bengals laying 6.5. Very simple for the Bengals. Lose and you're out. So Browns are going with DTR here over Jameis. We're both laying the 6.5 with the Bengals. We're agreeing a lot this week.
We're on the same side of all games so far this week.
That's not good. That's not going to be good for business, I don't think.
No. So if you want to fade Dem Boyz, run out and take everything the opposite of our. You might.
Fade them boys.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
should we should make that a segment. Fade
Yeah.
them boys. Oh man, but yeah, the Bengals. Yeah, you gotta. By the way, did you see Burrow on the sideline during the Tennessee game, giving lip to what's his name? Is it Zach Taylor?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
Yeah, they got it. I mean, he wasn't giving him lip, but he was like, he basically, I think his exact words were, "This is effing embarrassing" or something like that. Like basically the way they were.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Was it the way they
look,
were turning the ball over constantly? Was that it?
that probably had something to do with it, but yeah, we talked about Zach Taylor a couple weeks ago. He might be coaching for his job here,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
He may he
Hey,
may he
Saint,
may get a pardon just by the defensive coordinator may be the one who takes the fall for him.
he might be Dennis Allen. The phone phone for you, Dennis Allen. Speaking of Saints legends, Kerry Collins, who finished fourth in the Heisman, 1994, presents Titans at Colts. Colts are laying 4.5. I think we're both going with Colts minus 4.5 here. We can't trust the Titans, right? I mean, we can't.
No, I'm trusting the Titans here. I'm taking the Titans in the
Oh, did you?
points.
Oh, did you? Rudolph, the competent quarterback, is
That's
what you hope for.
that's about all I got. Maybe and Richardson plays bad enough that he keeps the
Yeah.
Titans
Well,
in it.
if those things conspire to an Indianapolis loss, that will knock them out of the playoffs, but only if the Chargers win on Thursday night. So if Denver wins Thursday, then this game becomes, I don't want to say inconsequential for the Colts. I mean, they still need to win, but
Right.
it would behoove them to win. But all right, Ted Ginn Jr. So this is another teammate one. Ted Ginn Jr. teammate. I really thought Ted Ginn was in Heisman contention, but
I
again,
thought
I
so
couldn't
too,
find.
but I guess not.
But he was the teammate of former Heisman Trophy winner Troy Smith. That was been 2006, I believe. Ted Ginn's presenting Cardinals at Panthers. Panthers are getting 3.5. Cardinals better be careful with this one, I think. We're both taking the 3.5. If Arizona loses and the Rams beat the Jets, which is very possible, then Arizona would be eliminated from the playoffs. So
Is this the battle of the shortest quarterbacks in modern NFL history?
has to be, right?
Yeah,
Unless
two
it's
quarterbacks.
Flutie.
Yeah, two
I mean,
quarterbacks who are 5'10".
yeah, unless Doug Flutie was playing against,
Drew
I
Brees.
don't know, Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Breeze was pretty. Breeze, Breeze was
we're
pretty
both
sure too.
we're both taking the Panthers in
I
the points.
I'm very interested to see how both teams come out in this game. Obviously, the Panthers are coming off a pretty bad performance against the Cowboys, which
Hmm.
you didn't mind, but
I did not.
and then the Cardinals are coming off, I would say, a good performance against the Patriots to see if they can parlay that with a win here and keep themselves in the playoffs. I do believe they still have a chance. They don't have to win the West to get in the playoffs. I think they can sneak into
Still,
the seventh seed possibly, but if they lose this game, then that goes out the window. All right, so this one I had to think on. I had to really think on this one. Danny Cannell, everyone's favorite Twitter account. Um, he was the backup to Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward, who Charlie Ward ended up getting drafted in the NBA by the Knicks, but that's another story for another day. Danny Cannell presents Giants at Falcons. Falcons laying 9.5. If I can jinx the Falcons, I'm gonna take that opportunity. So I'll lay the 9.5. You're gonna take the points with the G men.
yeah, just the. I know the Giants are bad, but I haven't seen anything from the Falcons that gives me. I mean, they barely beat the Raiders.
I have faith in Penix. How about that?
Well, I think you're wrong.
It's too bad that they didn't make the switch to Penix, and the Saints and Rattler wasn't playing for the Saints. We could have had Rattler versus Penix at one point this
Oh,
year.
there we go.
That'd have been a great game. All right,
All
let's
right.
move on to the late slate here. Now look, okay, now look. From here on out, we've got all Heisman Trophy winners. All right, so
So we'll start with another short quarterback. Doug
yeah,
Flutie,
yeah,
the Heisman winner in 1984, presents Patriots versus Bills. Bills laying 13.5. We're on opposite sides here. I'm
yep.
on the Bills minus 13.5. You're going to take the Drake in the points.
Got to love the Drake,
Got to
I,
love the Drake.
and I think the Bills too. I'm interested. This is another one. I'm interested to see how the Bills respond after that game in Detroit. You know, like this. Everybody's telling them how great they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots have kind of nothing to play for. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes here. Next one, I was kind of proud of this one. Gino Torretta. There's a name I hadn't heard
That
in
is the name.
years. That's a name. Heisman Trophy winner 1992 presents Vikings Seahawks. Seahawks are getting 2.5. I feel like that should be more, especially if Gino's not playing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Viking.
the thing is like this looks like a Geno line. I wonder like what happens if we get an announcement on Sam Howell.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say I'd say if you could probably push this all the way out to possibly 7 for the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings. Vikings are still in the hunt for the 1 seed, but they can't slip up here, and weird things can happen
Right in
in
Seattle.
the Pacific Northwest. So be careful there if you're the Vikings.
All right. Next up, we got Saints legend Heisman winner
Yes,
in
sir.
2005, reinstated Heisman winner Reggie
Oh yeah.
Bush presents 49ers versus Dolphins. Dolphins laying 1.5. I want to take the points. I haven't learned with the 49ers, I guess. Or
Yeah.
I'm a little underwhelmed with
There
the Dolphins too.
are the 49ers your new Jets?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm laying the 1.5 with the Dolphins only because, like, I mean, the Dolphins have to win. I mean, if they lose, now the Dolphins are in the same boat as the Colts. If the Chargers win on Thursday, then the Dolphins have to win this game. If the Broncos win on Thursday, then a loss here doesn't officially eliminate the Dolphins. For the 49ers, they lose, they're out. Or if any of the other NFC West teams win. So, like, if the Rams win, if the Seahawks win, if the Cardinals win, that would also knock the 49ers out of playoff contention, which, just to put a button on this kind of season from hell that the 49ers have had. Real quick, if I could go back to Gino Torretta for a minute.
Uh-huh.
So he won the Heisman in 92. Do you want to take a guess who finished second in the Heisman that year?
I've got no clue.
It's a Hall of Famer, an NFL Hall of Famer.
Is it someone who played for the Cowboys?
No.
No.
Why don't you just tell me the name
Why
of
don't
them?
you just tell me who was second in the Heisman?
Although I will tell you, 8th in the Heisman that year was Cowboy legend Drew Bledsoe.
Oh.
But second in the Heisman that year was Marshall Faulk.
Oh.
So Gino Torretta can say he beat out Marshall Faulk for the Heisman Trophy. Also in the running was Garrison Hurst,
Ah.
Marvin Jones Sr.,
Okay.
and
Oh, the Lions wide receiver?
no, this is the linebacker Marvin Jones. You're thinking of Marvin Jones Jr.
Yeah, but I mean the father of that one.
Yes, yeah.
It is his father.
Yes. And then trying to see if I recognize any of these other names. Reggie Brooks, running back from Notre Dame. Yeah. So anyway, moving on here. Last late game presented by Desmond Howard deserves so much better. Heisman
does.
Trophy winner, 1991. He's presenting Jags at Raiders. Raiders are getting a half a point. So this is basically a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you pick
who wants it less?
who wants it less? I mean, look, I think the Raiders want to lose. They got Shador in their sights. We're both going with the Jags here. We're both laying the half a point with the
Yep.
Jaguars. I don't think any blinds are going to get turned up for this one.
Yeah, this is the wouldn't raise the blinds game of the week.
I'm very look. So I mentioned this earlier about how they probably should have kept Chargers Broncos on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This slate on Sunday is rough. Like it's some rough games.
Niners Dolphins doesn't do it for you. Giants Falcons.
I mean, not now. Maybe earlier in the year, but
Rams Jets. Titans Colts.
Yeah. Oof. Woof. As Kevin McAllister once said, woof.
All
hey,
right.
here's one. Here's one we
Yeah.
can watch Sunday night.
The Heisman winner from the year of my birth, Mr. Vinny Testaverde,
Hey, there
presents Bucks Cowboys. Cowboys at home getting 3.5. We're both on the Buccaneers. Just a team that we I think have both been pretty impressed with. And I think someone
Absolutely.
forgot to tell NBC that this is not Dak versus Brady. You're getting Cooper Rush versus
Okay,
Baker
Brandon,
Mayfield.
you just went through the other options. What are you gonna honestly?
Let's the Jags Raider.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
you could do Eagles Commanders. I probably would have said Eagles Commanders.
Yeah, that's at least 2 playoff teams.
Well, again, I'm just
Maybe
pointing this out.
sort of. Yeah.
The Cowboys are.
We're not dead yet.
Yeah. You're not. Yeah, you're like the guy from Monty Python, right? You're not dead yet.
I'm not dead.
All right, a Festivus for the rest of us, and there's going to be a lot of grievances there on Monday night. Danny Werfel, Heisman Trophy winner in 1996. Quick story. I remember sitting in my living room watching the draft that year, and the pick came in. I think it was a 4th-round pick. Saints select Danny Werfel, quarterback, University of Florida. Brandon, I was so excited. You wouldn't imagine. I thought this is it. This is it.
You're turning it around.
We're turning around. Actually, funny enough, that same year, we drafted a running back from Iowa State. His name was Troy Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Davis finished second in the Heisman voting to Danny Werfel. So the Saints had the Heisman Trophy winner and the runner-up. I don't think Troy Davis ever got on the field.
I was going to say, I don't think they turned it around if memory serves.
And Danny Werfel, his claim to fame was getting sacked once, and when he came up, his helmet was turned around the wrong way. I don't know if you saw that. Have you ever saw that?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
By the way, I should point out, in 1996, an offensive lineman finished 4th in the Heisman voting.
Orlando Pace,
yeah. The Ohio State University.
Yeah, Orlando Pace is one of those, like, of him because he was such a legend.
He was one of the first offensive linemen I remember. Like, it's like, oh yeah, he could be the number 1 pick in the draft. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't out of the realm of possibility. Which I don't think he ended up being the number 1 pick, but he was pretty close if he wasn't. But anyway, Danny Werfel, all that to say, Danny Werfel presents Saints at Packers. Packers are laying 13.5. That's not enough. Packers win and they're in. They actually could be in before the game starts if Atlanta loses and either the Rams or Seattle loses. New Orleans loses and they're out, mercifully. Or they could be out before this starts if Tampa beats the Cowboys on Sunday night, or if Atlanta beats the Giants earlier Sunday. Yeah, look, Packers minus 13.5. I am interested to see how Spencer Rattler plays. I'm also interested to see what Kendre Miller does. Kendre Miller played pretty well down the stretch in the Commanders game. Alvin Kamara may not play in this game. He's got a groin injury that he suffered in the game Sunday. It's supposed to be cold in Green Bay. Go figure.
I think it tends to get a little chilly up there.
Yeah, I want to say snow's in the forecast, so let's just make it even harder for the Saints. But yeah, look, I'm not expecting, but again, I'll stay up. I'll watch it. I'll be airing some grievances.
Just so you know, Orlando Pace, number 1 overall pick.
Was he? Okay, I thought
It was.
I thought by the Rams, right?
Correct. He played most of his career there, but also had a brief stint with the Bears for 1 year in 2009.
Okay. So he played 12 years, 13 years.
Yep.
Good for him. Good. Yeah, and is he in the Hall of Fame? Is Pace in the Hall of Fame?
He is.
He is? Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's a 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Hell of a I remember, so it was around 96, 97 was around the time I started playing Madden a lot. And what I would do, I'm sure I'm not the only person who did this, I would trade all the good players to the Saints.
Right.
And Pace was always my tackle. Like he was always the tackle I would choose to play to be on the Saints. So
starting quarterback Danny Warfel.
Yeah, right. God, man, I'm telling you, I thought he was it, man. I thought this is the one, but he was not.
He was not the one. All right.
Anything else about Week 16 before we move on here?
No, I think we're ready to get to our George is getting upset picks.
This is not good. Worlds are colliding. George is getting upset.
All right, Paul, we've been pretty bad on our upset picks lately. We need to get it turned around before Christmas here. Who you got for an upset? Anybody that you like?
Can I take the Chiefs as an upset?
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
I thought I'd ask. Because I was looking, I was like, man, I didn't take the points with a lot of these teams, and then I saw the +1.5 with the.
You took the Steelers +5.5.
Yeah, I guess that's where I lean. I might be leaning here.
Yeah,
I did take the Broncos.
Panthers +3.5 too. Patriots +13.5.
Listen, I mean, yeah, I think I'm gonna. Or you took the Broncos. I can't take them.
Nah, you can take them. I gave you first pick.
No. I'll take the Steelers. I'll take the Steelers over the Ravens.
Okay.
And don't forget too, ladies and gentlemen, the Steels. This hasn't cashed out the last couple of weeks, but the Steel City Special, as Cousin Sal calls on the Bill Simmons podcast. You take the Ravens for the half, Steelers for the game. Usually pays out
+800,
5-1, +8. Yeah, it depends on the opponent, but
yeah,
I think the last time it paid out for me, it was like 5-1.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look it up here while you tell us your lock or your upset. Sorry.
All right, I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to take the Broncos here. Thursday night game, just kind of like them to bounce back. I know they still won against Indianapolis, but I'll take them to upset the Chargers on Thursday. And then with
real quick, if you do Ravens half, Steelers game, it's +900 right now.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, that's some sweet action.
That is some sweet action.
Oh, no. Don't tell me. You're gambling again, aren't you?
Yes, Newman, we're gambling again. Now, with that out of the way, we've got our upsets. Now it's time for our Jerry, it's a lock.
Oh, Jerry, it's a lock. Kramer, you've had this thing under control for almost 3 years now.
All right, Paul, you're up. I'll let you. I took the Broncos first, technically. Even though I'll let you announce yours first, but you got a lock this week.
The funny one here would be the Jaguars, I think. But I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Seahawks.
All right.
Oh.
Oh. With that, I think I'm going to take. I'm going to go bet against Dorian Thompson Robinson here. I'm going to take the Bengals.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you to?
I can't take Dance Revolution.
It's a protest, right? We're protesting them benching Jameis, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly it.
Okay, so the Bless Them Boys parlay then is Steelers, Bengals.
That is correct.
2 AFC North teams there.
Yeah.
Let me just
see. You hop on Rebet, and I'll look on Flip.
I'm hopping.
All right.
Steelers.
Bengals money line is minus 380
on Fliff.
And we've got
it's minus 450 on Rebet.
Where is the Steelers game? All right, Steelers. What was it? Minus 450.
The Bengals, was minus 450.
And Steelers at plus 220. So we've got a
Steelers are plus 208 on Rebet.
So we've got a plus 304 this week.
So on Rebet, it's plus 276. So,
yes, boys and girls, that's why you always check your lines, shop your prices.
Right,
Paul. I think I will say before we leave, it does look like West Virginia's making a game out of it. Memphis is up currently 35-23 in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
Yeah, so when we speak to you guys, there'll be a couple more bowl games. There's 2 more tomorrow, I know, and I think there's one Thursday during the day, maybe. Let's check here. I know there's 2 on Wednesday, and then I want to say there's one.
They're having to find a replacement for Marshall in one of the bowl games.
Well, they did.
Army.
They did. Louisiana Tech. Tech's going to, because it's the Independence Bowl in Shreveport. So Louisiana Tech stepped up.
Oh, man, they gave them a home game, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so tomorrow we've got the Boca Raton Bowl, Western Kentucky, and James Madison. And then the Art of Sport LA Bowl. I think that's the one Gronk hosts. It's California and UNLV. And then Thursday, we'll have the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Georgia Southern, and Sam Houston.
Ooh.
So. And then Friday, we got a full slate Friday, including the Indiana Notre Dame game is Friday evening. But then the Cure Bowl, Ohio versus Jacksonville State, 2 conference winners there. And then the Gasparilla Bowl, Tulane and Florida, is also on Friday. So a lot of good college football to watch
there. Of course, a lot of sweet action going on.
A lot of sweet action there. And then, of course, Thursday night, you've got Broncos and Chargers. Important game there for the AFC playoff seeding. Anything else you want to tell the fine folks before we sign off?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, we'll see you guys. We're going to be recording a little early, so in the next broadcast you hear, we'll be previewing Week 17. We won't be reviewing Week 16 yet because we won't have all the results in.
Right.
So 2 episodes from now, we'll kind of have a big. We'll do 16 and 17 together, basically.
The double recap.
But in the next episode, we'll find some other stuff to talk about, I'm sure.
I think so.
As well as preview Week 17. But until then, happy football, everyone.
Happy football.